Right, good morning. It's another day. I had to give up on this last night. What I was finding is that on this side, the front side of the hub, it's not flat and level. So the sleeve or collar was not able to sit flush. So when I was pulling from this side and tightening it up, it meant that, let's rotate that around so you can see the spanner as well. It meant that this, the new rose joint, or whatever it is, swivel, depends on who you are, who you talk to, was going in at a peculiar angle, and it was pulling in from the top, and this was staying out. Now it was giving me a big headache because no matter what I did on this side, I put some washers on it, tried to stop it from sort of being out of position. No matter what I did, it was off position. So I had got my thinking cap on this morning, so I've got these kind of thick sleeve things, or like they're like the top of a sleeve, from another kit of pullers that I've got that's got these in it, and I have realized that this pivot bit in here, where the rubber protects, so the pivot bit here, so this is the old one where I pulled off the rubber just to see what's inside, that is going to be under incredible force when you're driving around. So I reckon it can take the strain of trying to pull into the hub at the top here, because this is on a Land Rover Discovery, so this is going to be under immense pressure and sort of forces. So the bit running through here, this metal collar that rotates and is flexible, so I don't know how easy it is, but you can see that there's quite a lot of movement in that to allow the suspension to move around. Now if that's taking all that force, it's not going to be damaged by just putting a bit of pressure on it to push it into the back in. So what I'm going to do, so I've got my old bush here as a marker as to how far it's got to go in. I've put it so that this is pushing on the main center bit in the middle. You can tell me off in the comments if you think this is wrong. So rather than pushing in the shell, which would be ideal, but it won't do it properly because of this, I'm going to then use this to drive it in and see whether I can get it to just straighten out. So that's what I'm going to try and do. Obviously if you think I'm mad, tell me, but I think this is going to work, if you want my opinion, because at the moment we are certainly not straight. So if you look here, because the bit pivots, so I've done a couple of turns literally there, because this middle bit pivots, as far as I can see, that has now straightened out a bit more and is going to drive in straight, because the middle bit pivots, so it's going to compensate for anything that's wrong on this side. And like I said, it's not, because I can do it with one hand, and I've not got an extension bar on the turning ratchet or anything. I don't think I'm applying like incredible levels of force to this. Obviously it's a good chunk of force, but it can't be anything as strong. My turning it by hand can't be anything as strong as the forces on the vehicle when you're actually driving along. So that's my point I'm going to make. So you can see here, like when this is on, there's just a lot of, it's not flat, and what is going on is down here there's a sort of ridge on the casting. So it might be just my particular hub, I don't know, I suspect it's all of them. But if you find that you've got that problem, then obviously it's going to not help you putting it back in. Obviously if we took all this off, which I'm trying to avoid and I didn't want to do, and I absolutely don't want to do it, took all this off, I could just stick it in my hydraulic press and it would do it. But that's a whole next level of pain, because you have to disconnect the handbrake, connect to the disc brake, you've got to take off the brake pads, you've got to take off the caliper, basically got to get the everything off to get this hub out. And I don't want to do that because I'm not in my full health and I haven't got time, and I know it's pathetic, but I only noticed the split thing when I did the last repair, and I'm trying to save myself sort of more pain than is necessary, particularly on a physical level. If you're young and fit and strong, which I suspect most of the people out there are, then go for it, take it all apart, and you've got the time, because it's very time consuming to get sort of a lot of these things done. I mean, this has taken me enough time now just from having to solve the problem of why it's going in at an angle, and you know, my solution is what suits me. I don't recommend it above anything else, but this is what I'm going to do. So this is my solution. And that's the thing about this kind of video, you got lots of us guys out there who are doing repairs to our cars, and really this is just our opinion or our way of doing it. And a lot of the time, you know, repair techniques, they just require you to work out the best way for you to do the repair. So, you know, we can discuss it. We could discuss it, you know, till the cows come home. There'll always be someone out there who says, oh, don't do it that way, do it this way. Yeah, that's fine. But the idea is that you work out the best, safest and easiest way to do a repair. And people like me, hopefully, give you some ideas on how to achieve that and make your lives a bit easier. But this is not the Bible on how to do this. This is me doing it because I need to do it. Not far off where it should be. The thing is, that's the other thing I didn't talk about last night, which I need to talk about now. I started trying to push in from that side. This side has got no bevel on it. This side has got a bevel on it. So the actual corrosion on here, on this side, is because what you can't see is that there is a bevel around here. So that actually is a slightly misleading bit of corrosion then, because it should be in a little bit, because there is a bevel around it to enable. So I drove it out from that way, and then I'm driving it back in this way, because otherwise when I tried to do it this side, it never goes in, because it's just a solid face. And so whenever you try and do it, the bush, literally, the bush just goes like that or like that. It just never drives in. On this side, as soon as I put it in with the bevel, started pulling it through, it went in, although it went in at an angle. So just a tip there, that the bevel is on this side, and you want to get the bearing in from that way. I'm pretty sure it wouldn't matter which way you drove it out. I just happened to do it that way because that's the way I was doing it. But there you go. So another little tip, hopefully just to make your lives easier. And in order to get that bevel clean, I just got my wire brush on the drill and drilled, you know, wire brushed around it on the drill, just so that it was sort of slightly shiny metal, so that when that was going back in, it wasn't just going over a load of rust and getting all scratched and messed up by that. Right, I think I'm happy with that. I'm just going to see now whether I can get it back into the suspension arm. That's that job done. The final thing to finish up is just to get the suspension dropped and to tighten up the suspension bush at the front, get it up to the right torque. Hopefully that will behave itself, and then this job will be completed and won't have to revisit it for a very long time. Right, so we're jacked up, ready to go back in. I'm gonna just get the bolt in to start with. Got to be jacked up anyway to get the ride height set for, so that seems a little pointless to mess about with anything else at this point. It's gone in nicely. Just get that roughly in line with its markings. Right, so just make sure you're as lined up as possible. I'm just going to move the camera back so I can actually access this, and then once you've got it nipped up, then you can get the torque wrench out and start to torque it up. Then just make sure you thread it back around everything that needs to go back, like the brake wear sensor on this side. There isn't one on the other side, but and make sure that all the fixings are pressed into their correct brackets. So now we have our ride height set at 485, so between the top of the wheel arch and the center of the hub, which is easily achieved if you've deflated your suspension. If you haven't got the tool, it's much harder. You probably find it hard to get there, but most Land Rover owners are going to own some kind of diagnostic tool. Then we can get this torqued up, which is 175 Newton meters or 129 foot-pounds, so that'll be torqued up at ride height, hopefully no longer rotating. And then we will get the this done up. When I drop the suspension again, I'll do this up properly, and it will be done up to 98 foot-pounds or 133 Newton meters. So that'll be done then, job finished, and hopefully we'll be all sorted and ready for another so many miles before anything needs replacing yet again. Hooray! Hallelujah. There we have it, the upper rose joint replaced and torqued up correctly to 98 foot-pounds, and also this time behaving properly. The front upper suspension bush at the rear of the car torqued up to its proper 129 foot-pounds with some nice clicks, and it now is set correctly. So fingers crossed that that will now be behaving, not rotating around. The top one certainly wasn't rotating when I released suspension because the arm sprang up, or released this top joint, so the arm sprang up. In order to get it back in, obviously we jacked up from underneath the suspension strut once the air had been taken out of the suspension. So it just makes life a lot easier when you can set the suspension to deflate itself. It makes life a whole lot easier, and then you jack up to ride height, and obviously we've done all those steps. So sigh of relief, and it wasn't too bad a job. The biggest challenge was just to get this in without it being at a funny angle. Managed to work my way around that. Like I said, this is just my way that I've done it this time. Maybe on the other side it would just be different, completely different, easier, harder, whatever. So I'm just sigh of relief that it's done, so there's no sort of rubbish getting in there now that the weather's turning and it's becoming winter in the UK, and fingers crossed we're all set. So thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.